What's up, guys? Leslie Robbins here. With all due respect to the Dodgers and the Angels, the hottest baseball team in town has been a group of youngsters from the South Bay, and we're talking Little League World Series hot.
He's in there safe. Turner to second at bats. And RBI single. Back up the middle, that's down. That's going to bring in another run.
My favorite part about this experience was hanging out with all my teammates.
The experience was great because I've never played on TV like that.
At times we'd have fun, at times it'd be work. It's a 50-50 mix.
Meet the All-Stars of Torrance Little League, the first team to represent Los Angeles County at the Little League World Series since Northridge carried the banner in 1994. It was seeking to become the first team from LA County to win the tournament since 1963. When the All-Star team from Granada Hills National Little League won the title. These 12-year-old boys put on an incredible show at the 2021 Little League World Series, getting almost to the finish line. The All-Stars wound up being eliminated one win short of the semifinals, having lost 4-2 to its counterpart from Hamilton, Ohio in an elimination bracket game. Let me just ask you straight up, how did you guys get your team to the Little League World Series? Take me back to the beginning. When did you realize you really had a special team going?
Well, first off, we started the season short. Because of COVID, we had only 4 teams made, which was pretty odd because Torrance, we normally field at least maybe 6 to even 8 teams, but teams are stacked. As a manager, I was sitting and doing evaluations during tryouts and, doing the whole draft. I would remember thinking to myself, wow, okay, these kids can, the kids that were there were balling out, and the kids who weren't, I already knew that they actually had a lot of potential. And when the teams were finally formed and when we actually started playing each other, you could tell right away that the teams were strong teams. And we went and we had some really competitive games, and we even had interleague games where we actually did quite well against them, and only to come back, battle it out again. From then on out, we had an all-star draft with the coaches, and we composed this team to where it is what it is now. I knew that the league had very good arms, good bats, defense was good, it was sharp, and the overall chemistry with the players worked really well, and they fed off that. So after our games throughout district and then even sectionals, coming out from there to only pull it out in state and the regionals was a surprise. But then again, if you look at it, no, the team really had a lot going on for themselves. It's not easy at all to make it to the World Series. It's not even a regional. After what we've been through playing against the top teams in SoCal, and then going to regionals and having them play the top teams in the Western region, you gotta basically win like 23, 24 games without losing them more than 2 times the tournament. So there's a lot that goes on. Yeah, you can be really good and be on it, but at the same time, you're gonna need, some type of luck and some kind of motivation to get you keep going.
So what's the secret sauce? Luck, motivation?
For me, I remember watching Little League World Series on TV, and I would always ask myself, how hard can it be to get there, right? It's like, come on, the team I was with, they could beat these kids, no problem. And then, you actually go through everything and see how it is and the dedication that it takes to actually get through it. You have to be fully immersed in this thing. You can't just be, have one foot in, one foot out. You got to be all the way, and you really got to have everything on point focus because, the kids have to buy into it also. Once we started seeing ourselves on film, that helped out a lot too, because we were kind of able to see what some of our players were doing wrong or what they can improve on, and from there we were able to act on it. Coach, he would be the one going and working with the kids on the field, working on their fundamentals, what improvements that he could make, and he did a great job, and we ran with it. So that's kind of why I think we went so far.
So what's the mindset while you're going through each stage, getting to where you wound up?
Well, I think it was unbelievable because we could have lost. At the district level, we played well enough. We weren't surprised by that. But in sectionals, we look back at those scores. We end up winning the championship game 3-2 in 9 innings when regular Little League games go 6 innings. So those were nail biters, and they could have gone either way, and they kept going from there as well.
You guys have a nickname, of course, and then you said the games weren't nail biters. So Cardiac Kids is your nickname for that very reason, because these games are nail biters.
Yeah. And it's a cool name.
These kids, I don't know why they do it to us, especially the coaches, or even the parents, but that's how they like to win, and that's how they pulled games out. To be a part of a team like that, having them battle through adversity and having them just see what happens at the end, you know, when you do come up on top, it's really, really special. I'm just happy to be a part of it.
So many extra inning games, like you said, Cardiac kids. They came from behind I don't know how many times. They have a lot to hang their hat on.
The Little League World Series is customarily divided into U.S. and international brackets, but it was limited to U.S.-only teams this year because of the coronavirus pandemic. The brackets were named for Tom Seaver and Hank Aaron, Hall of Famers who died in 2020 and 2021, and the two bracket winners met for the World Championship. Both Torrance and Hamilton made it because of the absence of the foreign teams. Little League International chose to have a 16-team field for the World Series, having the top 2 teams from all 8 U.S. regions advance to the World Series instead of just the champion. Torrance was the runner-up in the West region, while Hamilton was second in the Great Lakes region.
My favorite thing about this experience is the food, even though it wasn't that good.
And what made it even sweeter for this coach and manager, it was a father-son experience as well. Coach Ollie Turner got to share the moment with his son Gibson, a pitcher on the team, while manager Javier Chavez's son Christian was an outfielder for the All-Stars.
My son Christian actually struck gold with him and was able to go to the World Series.
How has your dinner table been now coming off of the loss?
He's fine. He made the last out, but he's competitive, but he doesn't hang on to it for a long time. He knows he gave his best, and I give him a hug, and he knows that Dad's gonna tease him about it once in a while here and there, but just to drive him.
It was definitely fun having my dad there, and it was like took off a little bit of pressure because he could talk to me and get me like in my feels, and he would like help me with whatever I need. So if I had any problems, I could just go to him.
This one to center, going back, Brown, playable, makes the catch, and Ohio knocks off California 4-2. They advance to the championship game against South Dakota.
Getting to where you guys got to in the Little League World Series was wonderful. It is wonderful. But talk about the disappointment of not getting to the ultimate prize.
When we lost, yeah, you know, Coach and I, you know, all the other coaches were like, man, we're still talking about it. Like, we could have done this, or what if we did this or that? And, you know, as an adult, you kind of go through that, right?
For me, I don't know if I'm over it yet. We're a little upset, but these kids were 11-0 in elimination games until that last game. And I just think a lot of things happened, and as a competitor, you always wish you could have won the whole thing. It wasn't like they fell on their face and played a horrible game or anything. It just, a couple things went the other team's way, and they really battled and showed some grit, so hats off to them. I did talk to some other dads who walked out of the complex and teared up on their way out as we lost.
We were all definitely super sad because we knew that this long journey was over. But we all kind of bonded that last night, so we all had to like help each other up and made sure we were all okay.
I felt all right, even though we did lose. I still played well.
I was more mad than I was sad. I was mad because there was things that we could have done to win. We could have won. We could have gone on further, but we didn't. I just kind of accepted it.
I handled it okay. I was super devastated, but nothing you could do about it.
You can imagine, I mean, it was not fun. The 12-year-old kids, I know they look like they're professionals out in camera and on TV, but the game that we ended up losing at the end, yeah, that hit hard. And a lot of the kids, if not all of them, were kind of just, you know, they were beside themselves, questioning what they could have done differently. You know,
crying. There was crying, but I don't think it was long-lived. We're gonna remember the bear hugs and the dog piles and all the times we did come out on top. But they were telling stories, and it was more about how much they got away with in the dorms rather than the time they didn't get a hit.
What did they get away with?
You know, what goes on in the dorm stays in the dorm. You can't
No,
really.
they just did a lot of, you know, messing with each other and riding the laundry thing up and down the hills in Williamsport and locking people in the bathroom kind of thing. We soaked it all in. We signed up for the pool as many times as we could go. We played ping pong, and we ran around and did some workouts on those hills and slid down in the mud. It was like a Disneyland you never thought you'd get to go to, and we went and we rode every ride that was there, you know what I mean? We went to the museum there and saw the whole history. We left a Torrance Little League pin in the museum, so it's right there front and center. Everybody who goes to the Little League Museum will see our pin.
Like all sports, COVID affected the game and a limited amount of tickets were available for families. But everyone was still able to cheer on the kids from watch parties all around town. The city of Torrance was so proud of them that upon their return, the city threw them a parade with a ceremony to honor the ball players at the Torrance Little League field.
I've had the great privilege to actually broadcast the Little League World Series. And it's hands down one of the greatest events I've ever been a part of.
Through it all, they came through and they won. They are champions. Give them another round of applause.
Our whole team came together and created this one bond that if you're part of any team, you can never forget that, or else you're not really a team.
The boys were also invited guests to the first Torrance High School football home game of the season.
Tell me what it was like to have such hometown support. Not only just the city of Torrance, but Los Angeles, the state of California, nationally.
We knew we were fielding a lot of different things, and it was kind of overwhelming for us to keep our schedule. We were trying to get the kids to do their interviews, and obviously you see the cover of the newspaper, and how far-reaching it was really, we're just feeling that when we came home, and people told me how happy they were and how they cried watching, and it was amazing. And it's generational, like you say. Torrance Little League has been around a long time, but the city of Torrance is very generational, and I think a lot of people want to be part of showing these kids how appreciative of their run they are.
We had a lot of support. The parents were great. Community really showed up. And I know the kids felt it too, because they would hear a lot of good things from parents and fans and even the city, I mean, the state even. Other coaches would call and would text that we played. It was a real special run, and I feel very fortunate and lucky to be able to come in close contact with such great people.
You had a spectacular run during one of the oddest years ever. How did COVID affect your baseball season?
COVID, was definitely there all the time. The league was so careful about protecting the kids and ensuring that they did everything they could to have a successful tournament. And even though we had testing and close scares where some teams that we were supposed to play in regionals got bounced because they came positive, and that was unfortunate, but it happened, and it just made everyone kind of more aware of what was going on.
Just to get clearance to play on the fields in the beginning, right? I mean, that's why I think the board and the president, Matt Crew, got it all together. Everybody had to disinfect everything. We played the whole season outside the dugout, didn't we? When did we never even went in the dugout, so the kids would be out here on the sides of the dugout because they didn't want to get too close, and they had masks on, pitching and everything. A lot of them were wearing masks the whole time. So it was definitely, we were lucky just to have Little League, because last year we got it cut short in March, and luckily our kids were 11 years old, so when it came time, they said they were going to have Little League this year. We're like, we got to sign up. It's the last year to get the slush puppies, at the snack bar. So that was part of it, and we got all these kids to sign up. As they go through life and say they actually made it that far, they'll realize it if they don't already, how spectacular the run was, even during these crazy times, like you said.
Everything had to fall into place. Everything had to be right. Normally it's just really baseball, right? That you have to be on point and keeping the kids focused. But this time, COVID just threw an extra wrench in the system, and you had to account for it. So we did. It was one of those things that we just had to overcome. And that's why I applaud the kids again and the coaches.
What do you want these young men to take away from this experience?
Well, we did a lot of talking about that. Teammate and pick each other up, different hero, different day, all for one for all. Make sure you do your part. We told them at this point we're making memories. So they're gonna look in each other's eyes, and they've been through it together. So like you said, what does it take to get here? There's no magic potion. They were in the foxhole together and came out on the right side of it so many times that no matter what schools they end up going to or or what group of friends they hang out with. When they see each other, they know their teammates for life and they did something special together. I told them I always want to have a big bear hug when I see them, and I think that'll be the same for them. They'll have a special bond with all those guys that were there with them, regardless of what happens going forward. I just think that part's super special because you can't buy that or you can't fake that. Like, we lived together and we had to rely on each other in the hardest of times. You can't replace that.
Yeah, we just want to maybe be invited to a wedding or two later. I mean, that'd be nice, to go out and say, hey, this is our coaches right here. That'd be great.
So now that they're back and things have settled, the boys are better able to reflect on all the fun that they had. And that's what it's all about.
It was just so much fun. They treated us so well. It was like we were big leaguers because we got to have security everywhere and we had to be super safe, and it felt like we were just like in the big leagues. And getting to hang out with all my friends in the dorms and stuff, it was really just so much fun. Being away from my mom, not being able to hug her, or having to do my own laundry, that was definitely the toughest part.
I had a lot of fun on the way. It was definitely not only work.
I had fun along the way. We did a lot of fun things in the dorms. I missed home a lot, but it was fun.
My favorite experience about this trip was sliding down the mud hill.
My favorite thing about the experience is about going mudsliding.
My favorite thing about this experience was the ice cream.
My favorite experience was eating ice cream.
My favorite experience in Pennsylvania was swimming.
It's pretty fun, honestly. A lot of messing around in the dorms.
It truly was a once-in-a-lifetime experience. That is, of course, unless some of these boys get to have a similar experience on an even bigger stage.
I definitely want to be a baseball player at MLB, and I remember watching like Jurickson Profar and Cody Bellinger, all their highlights on YouTube and stuff, just knowing that they went through all the experiences that I did, knowing that I have a chance to go there, and I just gotta work hard and hopefully I'll get there.